And let's dive into it. So we got game 1 on Shoals. I think this will be fairly relaxed compared to the other games that we'll see in the series. Capoch in the blue down here in the south playing as the Italians. And MbL, the Viking, going for the Vikings. You got to love it.
Got to get that IRL Civ bonus. That's denied to us Americans because we don't get an IRL Civ.
Yeah, people have jokingly said that there should be a tournament where you can only play the civilization from where you're from, right?
Yeah.
But I think that would be excluding some people, or at least they'd have some pretty crappy civs. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be pretty unfortunate. Feel bad for all the Bulgarian players out there. all the Sicilian AoE
or
players.
The Sicilians, yeah. Yeah, I don't think we need to give the Chinese players more of a buff by letting them play Chinese. So a lot of the games we've seen on Shoals have not actually been heavy water focus early. We have seen some galley plays, but my opinion is getting to Castle Age is kind of the key on this map. Booming is kind of the key. So while the Italians could go fast feudal, I'm kind of assuming Capoch will play a fast castle. But what about the Vikings? I mean, you can go fast castle longboats, which we've never seen. But double dock galleys is kind of my guess, just based on the Civ.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, Vikings are in such a weird spot right now because they're only really good at one thing, but you can do that one thing. And that is, of course, either, just some sort of more defensive, more passive galley-based opening. It requires a water map with either a long rush distance or a friendly sea tower to help you defend.
Mm-hmm.
And Italians, we see them so much more because they're so flexible, right? And you can just see Capoch do anything with them, just have all of those discounts. It's really helpful. MbL, he's really, I think, going to need to lean into that Viking eco to stand much of a chance.
Now, Viking eco is arguably one of the most underrated bonuses in the game right now. I think in the past, maybe a couple years ago, when Vikings still had Thumb Ring and Crossbow was cheaper, everyone knew about it because it was like big boom with the eco upgrades to the Vikings. You play into Arbalest timings and you destroy, especially in Empire Wars. When we had Red Bull events every 3 to 6 months, Vikings were seen as number one. But I mean, these days, there's a question on what type of military they can really make on land. And yeah, as you said, they're not as flexible. So I find it interesting. I think it's a very MbL thing. I've heard him talk many times about how he thinks Vikings are underrated. But this is the first time, to my knowledge, in all of Gold and also Platinum, we see Vikings on this map.
Yeah, and I mean, we can still see why, right? You can still play to the Viking strengths, cheap docks, cheap galleys, all that's good. You're great at controlling water in the late game. We saw in the Yo Doubt set just how important that is in the late game. But you also need something on the land, and chances are Vikings are going to struggle a lot against better Arbalests and cheap hand cannons and cheap bombard cannons.
So I was thinking the other day about things I could incorporate with the cast, right? And one of the thoughts I had, I was like, if I cast with Ornlu, I should quiz him. And
oh boy.
Hold on, my stream PC is trying to update. I'm so angry at Windows. The last month has just been horrible. Okay, I think I fixed that. All right, so it's quiz time. Can you tell me, without cheating and using Capture Age, the exact cost of Bugsvagar?
Bugs, oh geez. I want to say it's like 600 food, 400 gold, something in that ballpark.
Okay, well, it was 650, 500. So you were close.
Okay. Yeah.
I figured, I don't know, it just came to mind. I'm not, I had no clue myself. That's definitely a check the tech tree situation for me, so.
Yeah, my knowledge of AoE 2 and all the numbers was a lot better when there was less stuff in the game to memorize.
That's fair. I think that's probably natural.
Yeah.
So Capoch clicks up. I'll have more for you, but it's more, I can't do it all at once.
Hey, Berserker Gang was 850, 450 food and gold.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I actually really struggle if something that was around a long time was changed, and I especially if it was changed multiple times, I always forget. I will remember one of the iterations, like the second change, and we're on change number 4 or something along those lines. So,
a game that gets patched a couple times a year, and we still struggle to keep up with it.
Yep. Well, so kind of surprisingly, Capoch is going for a fast feudal build. So he's going to go for galleys most likely here. Lots on wood, lots on gold. Second dock will come up. And MbL, unsurprisingly, going to do the same here with the Vikings.
Yeah, and I was, in thinking about it, like I was saying, Italians can do really anything, and it's just sort of the strength of the Civ. That said, do I feel thrilled to play right into the strength of Vikings? Like, this feels like something that you can match if you're Capoch and be fine with, but wouldn't you rather try and get an advantage either by a very fast uptime or by going for a fast castle?
Yeah, I agree with you. So on paper, it surprises me, but if there's... What we have seen at times is if it's galleys against fast castle, the player going galleys can snipe the fish very quickly and then get up to 8 to 10, 12 fishing ships. So maybe Capoch just doesn't want to give MbL that. And look at that. MbL goes, he's feudal age as well. Let me add a third dock here and triple the galley production.
All right, now we need to get 4 docks going. We got to go old school here.
Still think,
this
though,
is like Baltic-ish.
This is easily the most boring opening to cast on this map. If we see fast castle combined with like a feudal age play, if we see fast castle for both, all that stuff, there's a lot of different variety in what they do. But what happens is they both end up opening with the same strat, and so they both feel like they've got to get the better of the other one, being extremely aggressive with it. And so it's going to be a whole lot of galleys and a whole lot of micro.
I can't believe we're in this situation where I'm hyping something and you're not, but Capoch never added the third dock T90. There's still a reasonable chance, especially with the superior, I guess the cheaper uptime cost for Italians, that he could squeeze out a bit of a fast castle, bit of a faster castle age, and really leverage that a bit of an advantage.
Well, here's my take. I just don't like the third dock. And I've said this before, like, you massing more galleys right now doesn't give you the ability to push into their docks, take them off water, and take out the sea tower. The only way you do that is in Castle Age. So what this does do, you're spending more gold on a map where you have limited amounts. And it only helps you, I guess, if Capoch moves out. But if Capoch just stays home, I think this could be kind of good for him. Also, a kind of a big deal on this map. MbL lost his scout, which was very sloppy. So he doesn't have any scouting intel on what Capoch will do or transition into.
Yeah, it's always just so important to at least keep tabs on when your opponent is moving to the big blobs of gold on the side of the map. And it's something that you can usually feel pretty comfortable about doing if you're the faster player to Castle Age, because we don't really see like late feudal age scouts or archers all that often on this map. I mean, we've seen it before, but it's not very common. But if you're slower to Castle Age, it feels like the chances of your opponent having a knight or a scout or something like that extra feels a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. MbL doesn't have any clue, and there may be some paranoia on if Capoch may make a switch, but we just saw there a moment ago, technically on any other map, MbL is going to win those fights because he has more numbers, but he moved in, Capoch fell back to the tower, and Capoch gets a nice snipe there and just backs away with the fish again.
It really just begs the question of how much is water really worth at this point? So long as you're not losing your fishing ships, there really isn't a ton of ability you have to force fights, which is absolutely not how water maps normally work. But of course, that's what the sea tower does. It just changes the dynamic of this map. And usually you need to get to Castle Age and just have the overwhelming numbers advantage to survive the sea tower volleys, which, remember, guys, are basically Yasuma guard towers.
Yeah, really strong. I actually never knew that their stats were similar there. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, they're a little bit lower in accuracy, but the base attack and the bonus damage is exactly the same.
Okay, interesting. HP maybe a little bit more for a guard tower, but that's not really what you're talking about at this point. Tower. Yeah. So, triple dock for MbL. The scout for Capoch is going to be through and sees him, and MbL, again, maybe paranoid. Capoch sold all of his stone. So, usually you'll see players try and buy that back later, but he clicks up faster. I do think it should be a very good economy for MbL to work with when he makes it to Castle Age, because having all these farms, having wheelbarrow, having this many vills, I'm sure he'll have plenty of resources. But if the goal is to win water, he might not have that.
Like I was saying, T90, 2 docks, not as much of a galley investment, faster uptime from Capoch, different builds.
Yeah. Look at the vills from Capoch. all because MbL lost the scout. He
Yep.
is going to change the approach. This is really interesting. And then also, he's sending Vils to TC the gold on the right. How many times do we see people scared to do that or just not doing that for whatever reason? I like this from Capoch. Remember, he needs victories, and he knows how to send chaos in these sets against MbL. In Red Bull, I think 3, he had the crazy upset right when he came out of retirement. Remember, Hidden Cup qualifiers. I'm sure there's more. Here we go.
Yeah, definitely plenty of crazy series, but yeah, gonna be able to just, with complete impunity, get this TC down on the right side, and he's also going forward. Like, look at this.
Yep.
Siege Workshop
Yep.
and Stable on the side, and it's the other side from the where he's going out to add a TC, so he is just completely taking map control.
And this is also on 2 tiles of gold. So MbL doesn't have scouting on any of the golds on the sides. He has no clue this push is going to be coming in. And if he panics at some point to go for the gold on the right, there will be a TC there.
I mean, we've seen players, lose games because they're not able to push out of their base and they just run out of gold. And
yeah.
MbL has literally less than 500 left that he can safely mine because of Capoch's great position.
And look how many galleys he made. He made 18 galleys, which is a lot of gold. Here comes the Knights from Capoch. Here comes the Siege. MbL is not prepared for this yet. He knows about the Knights. He doesn't know about the Siege. And if Capoch breaks through here, MbL is in for an awful time. And panic, man. I mean, I don't even know if the monastery completes. Oh, yikes. Oh, and look.
At least he has free handcart.
Look at the Vils on the right. He went to the right to TC, and the TC's already there for Capoch.
Oh, I mean, this is exactly what we were saying, right? It's just beautiful job asserting map control at the exact right locations. Now, MbL can just sort of loop around and build a TC to the southern side of the gold blob.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it doesn't feel great, that's for sure, as Capoch is doing a beautiful job with this pressure.
Yeah, I like the scouting from Capoch. That scout will notice another TC there from MbL. I do like the idea from MbL. You got to win water now, and then you can maybe fish boom. But Capoch's Navy's still patrolling around there. And there's just so much MbL needs at the moment to react to this.
Yeah, he did grab Bodkin, but no war galley upgrade. His food income is in shambles right now. And right now, that TC is also getting eaten. The Knights are charging in, and the Monastery being denied means that there is no answer to the Knights whatsoever other than just TCs.
This is a masterclass from Capoch. It really is. This is so well played. I mean, he still has the Navy active. Who knows if he'll come into... that'll come into play. He is Morville's going to the left side, maybe for another TC, which he actually doesn't have the stone for yet. But MbL's still in this, and Capoch might not actually know that TC is going up for MbL on the right.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was saying what MbL could do, and that is just walk around, and he'll get gold income, right? And yes, the TC, you could argue, is quite vulnerable in the medium to long run, but you need gold income in the right now time frame.
Yeah.
And so at least for the time being, it'll keep those villagers working and have them gathering that extremely valuable resource for him.
Man, both players really struggling for food. MbL's food eco would have been great, but he just lost access to his berries and his farms. But at least he has 7 fishing ships. Capoch has 3 farmers right now. Like, he's not going to be making many more Knights for a long time. And trying to fix that, trying to add farms when you have everything else to focus on is not so easy.
Capoch is just practicing his Walhalla eco balance. No more than 3 farms, everything on Golden Stone.
Now he moves forward, and he'll see an MbL Siege Workshop. MbL is the best player with Mangonel Micro, in my opinion. So anytime you see MbL defending with Siege against you, you have to pay extra close attention to it.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. But Capoch already has the strong position. He's the one who is just attacking the buildings. He doesn't feel the need to just kill MbL right now. And that's just going to give him a huge positional advantage, as MbL is going to have to just navigate around all these big blocky buildings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is still looking for MbL's Vils on the right, and he'll just find it now. He wanted to build an outpost. I like the decision from MbL to try and siege push, though. If you siege push that TC and maybe hold it home, this could look good for you. And Capoch has a lot of eco to sort out at the moment. And here comes MbL with monks and siege and spears. Just all micro-dependent right now.
I would love to see Capoch just not care about the one monk and just go in and kill the mangonels, because right now MbL showing some of that trademark control that you were just talking about. And yeah, chat, that this is why the T90 said that.
Yeah, and what you see though is Capoch is adding farms back at home, right? He's got his farming eco, he's got his other things to worry about now. So you get the position, but when you have to fix your eco, MbL is going to find that moment there. And now Capoch is going to drop a castle on the right. I love this from Capoch. If he didn't have this, things could start to get really bad for him, but this could lead to him locking down both the gold areas. And is MbL gonna run through the middle to TC the left? Now he's gonna do it. This could happen again. There is a path there, and MbL would just waltz on through. That's hilarious.
I've seen a lot of games on this map, and I think this is the first time we've seen this specific interaction. But yes, it's exactly how it's going. MbL is just running away, expanding away from his opponent. There's a lot of space to do that, and that's going to be the best way for him to stay alive for the time being. And, you know, I think T90, he's ahead by 1,500 resources.
Okay, I think Capoch just noticed it, though, because he just saw the Vils hop out of this TC and go to the left. He's got to be wondering where those villagers go. He knows there's villagers there. And they didn't go to his main base. They didn't flee to the north. I think this should lead to Capoch outposting on the left side, if he's aware. And yeah, MbL's farming eco is insane. This is Viking eco for you. So you have water control, which you want with the Vikings. The Vil leads there. He's super heavy on stone to build a castle, but uh-oh. Those Vils. Oh, God. Well, he's very lucky there.
No, that's all skill.
Yeah, true. Calculated.
He knew because his opponent wasn't playing Koreans for the extra villager line of sight that he could get away with.
Oh, man, does Capoch see that TC? He sees the stable now. He could just castle on this side as well. Navy now from MbL is coming this way, and Capoch is going to castle MbL stone. What is it with these two? Every time they play, it's so crazy, man.
I mean, we don't, in Age of Empires these days, we don't really have that many crazy specific, like, okay, we know this matchup is a banger every single time. Usually it's just, okay, the best players give us the best games. But it's just like, randomly, these two always seem to play their best every time against each other.
Yeah, I think it adds to it because they know, like, that's the narrative, and they go into it knowing it's going to be chaos. Capoch's castle will go up. MbL's, yeah, I guess maybe he could complete it, but it's not going to be easy.
The Spearmen trying to do some nice blocking right there, and that'll at least push them back a bit, allow the TC to add in that arrow fire. The Knights are unupgraded, and the TC has Bodkin. That's not too bad. And this could be giving enough of an angle here for MbL to complete it, especially if the Mangonel control is good.
Uh-oh. Capoch noticed there. Capoch noticed he is underneath MbL's TC. You are seeing that correctly. I think I saw a teleport there.
I was like, was that a teleporter?
But MbL's castle will go up. Now, he will try and go Imp, I think, for trebuchets. But how much gold is he actually mining? He's only mining the gold on the other side. And on the other side, he doesn't really have much army there to defend. What in the world?
But there are no monks here. MbL has a knight. It is going to get converted, though. And now longboats, because why not?
Yep. Well, I mean, if MbL can cling to this gold and click to Imp, the Treb on the far side will take out a castle, which is huge. He has water control, and then he could maybe fully focus on using the water control to take Capoch off the left side. But Capoch isn't about to stick around and wait for this. Capoch is going to drop castle number 3. Oh, but the timing might be horrible here. The timing might be horrible.
The outpost would have blocked the castle foundation anyway. Yeah. But also earlier, I don't know if you saw, MbL baited the Mangonel of Capoch to attack his other Mangonel. And so he kind of had a little bit of a friendly fire there. And that, it's just delaying Capoch's push on the left side, and it's allowing MbL to cling to that all-important gold income as he is now on his way up.
I don't know how MbL is on the way to Imp. That's just crazy eco. Like, he lost his starting TC and somehow got this farming eco. And don't tell me it's C8 fishing ships. That helps, but that's not everything. Capoch is a crazy guy. Oh my god. Going for another castle. MbL has the monks. Oh, and he scares away the knights.
The decisive moment. The monks are too much to allow the knights to take an engagement. That Mangonel is going to be able to deny the castle for now, and now you have to wait for Capoch's reinforcing Mangonel to show up, and it needs to take a good fight, and it's just buying more time.
Yeah. Remember, MbL only has gold income here right now. He also has the 2 tiles actually near the siege workshop, so that's not completely true. This castle could still go up, and if it goes up, MbL can't take gold because he can't get trebs here for a while. But it's 1 Mangonel for Capoch, it's 2 for MbL, and this is MbL we're talking about. Oh my god, MbL killed his own monks! He killed his own monks! What in the world?
It was a worthy sacrifice, T90, because it killed the, what was it, like the Knight or Light Cap or whatever that was right there, and it's keeping this castle delayed.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy. But still, Capoch hasn't clicked up. Remember, he's got full access to the gold and the stone on the right. And MbL, he's going to drop a TC. He knows that Capoch is coming with the Knights in the Siege to that area. So he's dropping a TC there, which is smart. And he'll be an imp, though. So castle for Capoch is definitely going to go down.
Yeah, it's a castle that isn't. We need to make sure you delete it. You're still going to get, like, 300-ish stone back. And I don't think he did.
Oh, yeah, that foundation there? I don't think he did either.
Yeah. A little sloppy there, but MbL is now an imp. The Trebuchet production has started, and he still has a good 20 vills queued up.
Yeah. 20 vills, and Capoch's imp TC is on the left, bro! He's clicked imp with the most exposed TC. Oh, no. Oh, no.
You literally had a 66% chance of clicking the right TC there.
Oh, he canceled it. He realized that he made the mistake and he switched it. Honestly, it's good that he realized. It's obviously bad he did it initially, but at least he doesn't lose even more time. What a hold from MbL. What a hold.
You know what? And there's still condos, right? The issue for MbL right now, his army is going to be entirely pikemen, which helps against the knights, but Capoch actually has that much stronger unit transition in early imp, and honestly, we can just say throughout the rest of the game, Italians have the far superior tech tree on the land.
I agree, but if MbL's got Navy on the shorelines, we've seen that matter so much in the long run. And so longboats from the shoreline with, like, berserks could be kind of tough for the Italians to deal with. I guess Italians could get gunpowder. But berserks feels pretty realistic for MbL now because he has all the access to stone that he would need. He has the food eco. He has the time to think about that.
He's got a minute 20. The time aspect I'm still a little concerned about for MbL. He's even getting that stone mining upgrade, because if you want to go berserks, you want more than one castle.
Yeah. Also, this castle from Capoch on the left, sorry to interrupt, is just him giving MbL another thing to deal with to give him time everywhere else. So it looks awkward, but I really like that castle from Capoch.
Yeah, totally agree. And yeah, indeed, looks like those infantry-based upgrades are coming in for Capoch. He does need to drop the barracks, unless I'm missing it somewhere. It's kind of hard to see everything that's going on. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, right side. And Capoch will have the right side golds for now. Treb's coming for MbL. Going for the TC, though. It's pretty fast from MbL. I wasn't expecting him to move all the way to this TC. Imagine if that was his imp TC. He would have actually lost it right before imp.
Yeah. And MbL just killed 3 Mangonels and lost 0 again.
And he's about to drop a castle on the gold. And I don't know, will the condos come out in time? The longboats will protect the trebs and the villagers building the castle. MbL's building another castle on the left. MbL's just everywhere right now. 190 pop. Capoch is going to struggle.
And that is the Viking Eco and the MbL macro, both together, just giving him the resources to make stuff. It's not really the best stuff, but when he has that timing advantage, he has the castles in a really strong position. It's really all that matters is just having units when your opponent doesn't. And right now, Capoch is really struggling to keep up.
Yeah, pikemen, berserks, even has a spear in there he converted. Galleys, trebuchets, mangonels. It's not just focusing on one unit and like maximizing that one unit. MbL is just doing everything he can. And Capoch does have his own trebs on the right side, but he cannot lose that castle. If he loses that castle, he could lose access to all of his gold.
He has a lot of stone with which to repair, and that is certainly at least having some value. And chemistry is in. And of course, as we were saying, gunpowder is a huge advantage that Italians have in this matchup. MbL is already prepping a bunch of archery ranges as well. He could be trying to go for some arbs.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. I think MbL should also see the barracks as well. So he should know that his opponent's going to go condos. I'm in love with berserks, but not in this situation because you need your castles to produce your trebs. So sticking with ranged units, which produce from the ranges, makes a lot of sense. We've got 2 separate treb wars happening right now at the same time, but Capoch might lose the one on the right.
And that, as you were saying, is the most important one because that represents his gold access. And something I really don't like from Capoch is he didn't take the relics when he had the opportunity and when he had the map control.
I agree, but with how crazy the game is, completely understandable.
I understand it, but it's like it's one of those little things that I mean we saw in the Yo versus Doubt set earlier. It's Yo had the presence of mind to pick up 5 relics really fast.
Yeah.
And that helped him survive.
Capoch did take down a castle from MbL on the left. So in theory, if Capoch could push MbL off the gold on the left, they could swap gold areas. But I really just don't see that happening. It feels like MbL's got so much more to work with. And even if he were to lose access to the gold on the left eventually, he is mining it right now. And Capoch just doesn't have enough to secure his area. And he's at 6 on gold. His trebs are exposed. It feels like he's running out of steam.
Yeah, the one advantage is MbL's lack of army over to the west. But it would take a long time to clean up all of the infrastructure that MbL has there so he can properly saturate his gold, and he just doesn't really have the time or resources to do that effectively as MbL pushes forward, almost double the pop, and after a wild ride, it looks like he's going to take game number 1.
Yeah, I think he should. Capoch will fight this out. This is the first game. It's been super chaotic, but he does tap out. What a game, dude. That was crazy. To the guy... I'm getting one guide, but to the person who said this map is buns, there's some buns for you. That was really fun, dude. I think it all started with maybe a bit of a misplay from MbL losing a scout, and then Capoch decided, let's go forward. But I don't know about you, but I thought that MbL was cooked once he lost the starting TC. He had no resistance there. He lost so many vills. He ran over to the gold desperately on the right. Felt like he wasn't gonna have anything there, and somehow he was that much faster to imp. Like, just crazy.
It's just having the macro behind it, and of course the Mangonel micro, where if he didn't take such dominating trades, I don't think he ever has the time to flesh out his eco and get that superior timing.
Yeah, I think it was the 3-0 engagement in the middle of his base. If Capoch held that position and actually posed a threat, maybe MbL can't focus elsewhere. You know, the other thing that was absolutely game-saving, and if MbL doesn't do, he's dead, was the escaping through the middle with those vills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this TC on the left never happens in another scenario, and it was great awareness from MbL there. I mean, I don't think you necessarily practice that, but that's good awareness of the map to understand you can do it, which tells me MbL came in with a bit of experience, has obviously watched lots of games, maybe played some games, been hearing rumors of some practice. So live standings, MbL 7 wins, yep, practiced up. And then Capoch 2 wins, and as we said before, to survive probably needs to win the next 2, I think. So I'll swap the colors back to what we had before. And just reminder, Capoch needs to win the next 2 games or he is almost certainly relegated. MbL, he's pushing for first place right now. If MbL wins the next 2 games, he will actually be ahead of Tato and ACCM and, well, I think everybody in the group and get first place. And if you get first place in this group, I mean, congratulations, because the group is in many people's eyes seen as the toughest group. And then you go immediately to the quarterfinals and avoid a big name in a round of 12 in the playoffs. So MbL's done that before. He will be aiming to do that again. But Capoch, I expect an even tougher fight from him now.
Yeah, we are, of course, on Cross. As I think you said earlier, this is just the map that he always gravitates to in tournaments. It's been around for a while. It's a lot of sort of multitasking and just having that hybrid experience and comfort really does come into play, I think, in a lot of these tournament maps.
Yeah. I want him to play it in a way that suits his style, which is just chaos. I think you can Look at the Huns and say, if I get to Cav Archers after a relatively safe feudal age, I can win. So that is a win condition. But I'm looking at his map now. I mean, golds are forward. Things are going to be open and aggressive. I want to see villagers being active, trying to get to different pawns, and making it as scrappy as possible. Especially, hate to say it, but especially against MbL, who has a frequency to get housed a little bit, right? So, like, your Huns, you can produce out of a range, stable, barracks, 2 docks, TC, all at once. And when things get chaotic with any other civ, sometimes you forget a house, and then all your buildings can't produce. And if that happens for 10 seconds, you could be cooked. So that's what I want, anyways.
Especially as, you know, on this map, you can have such sort of razor's edge fights where if you're housed for 10 seconds and you just don't have that ship on hand when you need it, or you don't have that army in place when you need it, you can just die instantly. So obviously really tough to play, and MbL needs to be playing cleanly. That said, Persians with their insane eco, we've seen them have success in, you know, these sorts of maps in the past, and I still think that MbL is very well set up here.
Yeah, I agree. So we made a change to cross per player feedback and lots of discussions, and it was somewhere around week 1 or 2, okay? And basically, the issue was there'd occasionally be generations where one player would be able to be very close to a pond and wall in a corner. So if you look at the left corner, let's say the oak forest tree that's kind of in the middle there, that would be where one person's TC would spawn. They could wall to the edge, fully secure their pond, and then the other person would be in the middle of 2 ponds. So the change we made was to make it so if one person's in the middle of 2 ponds, the other person's in the middle of 2 ponds. Or if one person has a safe pond, the other guy is a safe pond, right? Well, the result has been players are actually much closer.
Yeah.
And so the games are actually more chaotic now. And you can see these guys, right between them is a lot of golds and wood that they're going to need to take pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because I was wondering why you always seem to spawn in these close rest distances every time on cross. So
yeah,
that definitely makes a lot of sense. And yeah, you're going to be absolutely right that everything is just usually more forward, more pressure early on, and sort of snowballing those early advantages. That said, MbL is still docking further away, so theoretically he should have a much easier time protecting his pond from enemy aggression than Capoch does.
Yeah, and of course there's always, like, now that's the thing you might think of. Now Capoch could come to me later and say, well, I dock the north, and that's much easier for him to dock, right? There's always, with the nature of the map, it's so punishing, there's always going to be all these different things. But this is why scouting is key. You need to know where the opponent is, where they've decided to dock. And so I say that as MbL's scout is actively moving around the map right now, and Capoch is pushing some deer, so...
And MbL is actively moving on the map with 4 villagers. Oh, it's just for Lumbercat. Never mind.
Yeah. I think you really need to win this map through just lots of units. I think if you ever fall into a state on this map where you think you can wall, you're going to get your walls down. You'll protect some of your vills, but there's just going to be some other problems. MbL.
Yeah, too many areas to focus on. And honestly, now that I look at it, that's a pretty potato wood setup here for MbL. He only has the 1 wood line in the back. Now, he has a back gold, which is great, because Capoch doesn't. But it's going to be really tough to protect.
Look at Capoch is trying to sneak a vill, and he just walked right by MbL's barracks. Did MbL see that?
Is he going to run into the TC?
I think he might run into the TC. Yep. There he goes. Just passing. Too bad he's not Vikings and he'd get free wheelbarrow here. Oh, there he goes. It's funny. I saw Capoch do this in another game. He'll push all the deer and then he'll sneak a vill and then he'll full wall. That's his thing. But because he's pushing the deer, he is taking a bit of a risk in where he's going. And MbL's scout actually finding the scout from Capoch in the north. That's quite good for him.
Yeah, it's going to get several free hits in right there. It is 5 fishing ships per player, 6th one almost done for Capoch. But something I also like here from MbL is the early town watch. That was not because he got housed. He actually just got it proactively.
Yep.
As just having that vision of all potential enemy villagers on this map just always feels so helpful.
Yeah, so Capoch I think, I mean, he clearly wasn't up as quickly. The villager goes to the absolute wrong location. MbL gets some valuable hits on the scouts. This is a great start for MbL. And now, MbL, he sees the gold, and Capoch is mining the gold as well. So I think you've really got to assess the situation here for MbL and maybe think about a tower, maybe think about a fast archery range to pressure that gold.
Yeah, well, I feel like we just don't see that aggressive towers all that often anymore, which, you know, I guess people got what they wanted when the tower rush meta ended, because we just, yeah, players just usually just want to play as passive as possible, but this is just, it's so tempting, right? You're right there!
Yeah. Yeah. Now, small detail, MbL had a spear around. It got lured away by the Vil, and now Capoch is trying to dock the south, but MbL placed a palisade to block it. He already had an outpost here with Town Watch, so he's tracked this the whole way through, and Capoch is not going to be able to get the dock down there. What a great start for MbL here so far.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue against it. Now, MbL is a little behind in res collected, which kind of surprises me from Persians, and he did invest into a defensive galley as well in his main pod, so I mean, it's not like it's insanely far ahead, as Capoch is indeed getting the dock over to the west as well.
Yeah.
But you definitely can't be too unhappy right now if you're Mibbles.
It's funny, though. Like, there's always something you're missing. And right now, what he's missing, while he's had all the other things to be happy about, is he doesn't know where Capoch is docked. He does not know that Capoch has all those fishing ships in the north. Now, Capoch is scouting the shoreline, essentially, with the fishing ships. He's intentionally fishing there. So he would maybe spot this. But we'll see if MbL ever figures that out. And now he dives underneath the TC with the scouts. And Capoch could lose another villager here to MbL. Well played, MbL.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to have that confidence and say, okay, you don't have the Vils here, and you don't have the reaction time to get all the quick walls down that you need, especially against Huns, because you just can't use houses as part of a quick wall. And he is going to be rewarded for it in the form of a villager kill.
We're going to see a bunch of army from Capoch. Look at what MbL just walked past. He saw a range with a flag. He hasn't even seen an archer yet. There's a stable with a flag. There's a blacksmith. There's spearmen there, too. MbL's going to need numbers here. And he's going to need them fast.
Well, he's adding in an archery range as well, and I like the way he's orienting his buildings so that at least you can't run right next to the wood line, but still, that is so far forward, and those Vils are going to have a long way to get back to the town center once this army comes forward, likely after fletching.
Yeah, I think I prefer Scout Archer. Now, it is micro-dependent, but Scout Archer should be better here, and Capoch knows it. Capoch is moving out. MbL receives some hits from the spear, and he's got to abandon the woodline, and a tower is other woodline. This is going to get dangerous.
It depends on how active Capoch is with his scouts to see exactly what's going on. He is sending those 3 scouts forward. Tower only around halfway done. If the scouts maybe delay those villagers a little bit, maybe his own archers can get there at the base of the tower. MbL going to try and rush forward with those skirmishers, but there are going to be some dead Vils here.
You know what's crazy is behind this, Capoch is going to be up to 13 fishing ships. Like, this is the player who had such a rough start, but he is fully utilizing the map. He does stay underneath the tower, though. And in the end, I guess MbL will be happy with that. Clearing up that army, really important. He already killed some villagers himself earlier. He is Persians and can recover. And I don't think it stops there, Ornlu. I think we have more army to come.
It sure looks like it. Now, we don't have another archery range or stable yet from Capoch, which would be more indicative of, okay, I just really want to kill you in feudal age.
Yeah.
But what he was able to do is, you know, we've been talking about how difficult it is to actually get yourself protected on this map. Having all the fighting take place at MbL's base has given him the opportunity to wall the entire area except the direct front of his base, which I absolutely hate. Because that's like one area
I was going to say, you think he's walled, but is he actually? I feel like a tower there would be pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought as well. He is getting a market down, can buy his way up to Castle Age relatively
come on,
soon.
Capoch. Bro, just... I mean, he is going to go attack MbL's base. MbL could have some problems. And this is at least the correct move from Capoch. If you're going to leave it open, you got to back away for a second. And MbL might have to come home anyways, because the scouts and the archers are back.
Yeah, they are. And those forage bushes also another aspect of MbL space that is quite exposed. We have scouts coming back home. They have both bloodlines and +1 defense, whereas the scouts of Capoch have no upgrades, as Capoch is just right now focusing on getting up to Castle Age. So this should be at least a relatively straightforward cleanup from MbL. At the cost of a bit more idle time, as Capoch now looking at around 500-ish resources collected ahead.
Also, Capoch sold his stone, by the way. He sold his stone, so he cannot tower the gold. That's crazy. He is shifting to the gold in the back, as I say that. So that's actually wise. Makes a bit more sense why he would be comfortable selling the stone. He's on the way to Castle Age. MbL's got 20 army. It's only 8 for Capoch. So his army is pretty weak, but in Castle Age, that could change with 13 fishing ships to maybe fun nights.
And look at this T90, a dock way to the southeast of the map. And he is going to at least be able to harass MbL's fish over there. MbL absolutely none the wiser about all of this. So, you know, you were talking about Capoch making things chaotic, and he is just absolutely going to try and lean right into that.
Yeah, what a great game. I mean, what a great recovery from Capoch, because the start looked brutal, and he has completely turned it around. Now, he will overfish or outfish the north. There's only 350 deep fish, so eventually you have to think about fish traps. But this could be good. I mean, lots of pressure from MbL. MbL will click up. But on that, I would like to see MbL. He already outposted the north. This is the time. Go build a dock up there. Try and get some water control.
Yeah, I was thinking that it felt a little too greedy for Capoch to not even add a single galley or fire galley to the north. I mean, he's just was able to add 8 fishing ships, just with complete impunity. And that was just never punished, as the fire galley's now out there to the south, and Capoch, he has this timing advantage, but sold his stone, so he needs to go out and get kills with knights.
MbL, the quick walls there. There's really not that many scouts. Oh, no, the scouts make it through.
Were you talking about T90? I was zoning out for a second. What were you saying?
Yeah, no quick walls, actually, and that's got to be annoying for MbL. It's also got to be annoying and alarming for MbL to see Capoch is in Castle Age this fast. So, Knights will have +2 armor. He's backing away with his army now. He still will be up in 45 seconds. It's still a lot of leftover army, but if Knights come into his eco, he's got massive problems. And Capoch is not even going to worry about the scouts with all the Knights. He's going to send the Knight right underneath the tower into the wood line.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to hear your opinion on this. The Knights over the Cav Archers, right? Because we just see everyone and their mother go Cav Archers these days. But Capoch focusing on the Knights, which are going to be a lot stronger in this early Castle Age window, as they can fight underneath the tower without any problems whatsoever.
Well, Cav Archers are great if you have time, you have walls, you have protection. In this type of map where it's absolute chaos and things never stop, one Knight in your wood line can end the game. So I like the Knights for that reason. There's so much happening. We could barely talk about it. And so the Knight kills 3 villagers before it goes down. That's worth it. But it's also great from MbL. I mean, MbL is still sticking around with all this leftover army. He's now going to upgrade that army. And he also ran in with scouts to Capoch's base. And the crossbows from MbL out of nowhere are going to sneak into the back right where the gold is. Oh, that's horrible for Capoch.
Oh, you know, we were talking about how Capoch has like this one thing that causes him to lose all these games. Yeah, this could easily be that one thing.
Wow.
Oh boy, that really hurts.
That's villager time off of golds. That's TC delayed, and that's Vills down. I mean, everything that could be bad for you just happened. And obviously Capoch clears it, but now MbL even knows that the Knights are back there. And he should be chilling. However, Capoch is killing all the fish right now, which we shouldn't forget. So Vills die, but all of MbL's fish have actually been forgotten. So how much does MbL actually have on food? He's got like 7 farms, and that's it.
It's because MbL hates water maps so much. If you just pretend the fishing ships aren't there, they won't matter.
Wow. I mean, then MbL can't really make camels.
Oh, and look at this. One turn deserves another T90, as Capoch is right here with his Knights at MbL's 3rd TC and getting the reinforcing crossbowmen.
That's crazy. What a turnaround. He's got +2 armor here, guys. Low numbers of crossbowmen are not going to cut it. MbL doesn't have the eco to make camels. And Capoch just keeps on coming. He is on 2 TCs. He's back on gold, of course. He's gone for the quadruple pawn domination. And all of a sudden, MbL behind 10 eco now. even after the crossbow raid.
Yeah, and I mean, and that eco difference is the villagers killed, or at least eco units killed. Capoch ahead by around 2,000 resources, and actually a little less, around 1,300. But I mean, he's adding in his own third TC, and he still has the knights, and the crossbow numbers have been cut in half.
Yeah, MbL can't wall. MbL can't keep up. He's making crossbow, which are really slow, and it's going to be tough to stabilize that eco and chase this down. Capoch 3 TCs. Already has quite a few farms. Very compact base as well. It's actually quite hard to raid. I'm really impressed, man. I actually just completely forgot about the water. I didn't...
It's okay, so did MbL.
I forgot about it for 2 minutes. And so I was thinking it was going to be a GG moment. And here we go, Capoch. Wow.
Yeah, just honestly, such impressive play. And I mean, we see everything that's going on, and there's 2 of us, and there's, we're having trouble keeping track of everything. And this just goes to show that even though Capoch isn't a super fast player, I mean, he's got 81 APM, which is kind of middling for an AoE 2 pro. And it's just knowing exactly where you need to be looking at any given moment.
80 is middling? That's not middling. That's still high. That's
okay, it's above average. It's 60th percentile, maybe 65th percentile.
I would say Capoch is pretty freaking fast. That's not middling. Listen, I'm 62, okay? So that's why I take offense.
35 APM, man. All of this is way above me.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I feel better now after hearing that. Well,
there you go.
Yeah, I love the graph. Someone posted, like notable players APM or whatever. It was like 20 players or whatever. I apparently have the same exact APM as Doubt. So I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. The same APM as Doubt on average.
Well, you know what? It's good enough. And,
my castle APM is slightly better. I could promise you that much. But I guess that's not. Okay. I guess that's more placement. And Capoch.
Yes, because you, T90 of all people, are known for your building placement.
Is that a? Okay, all right, you're hilarious. I just want you to know you're so funny. Everyone thinks you're hilarious. Knights are raiding in the north. Knights are raiding in the north. Big raid. We should talk about that instead. Knights are now going to raid in the south. MbL's really missing ballistics right now. He's missing a lot of these shots against the Knights when they dive underneath the TCs and against the crossbows.
Yeah, it's honestly so impressive, and I absolutely adore this castle here from Capoch if he can get it up. But knowing that MbL has to be spreading his army all over the place, Capoch's army is a lot more useful in low numbers in different locations than MbL's is. But here come the Cav archers.
Oh man, that's a crazy castle. But what a castle it will be. If that castle goes up, both those golds are protected. And the knight numbers are just absolutely ridiculous. He's going to have 26 knights. MbL can't stop this. There's no way. I mean, he could try. He could kill a vill or two, but I think Capoch could take the engagement and win it. As long as he notices. As long as he notices, I think he can.
Yeah, okay, Vill's being pulled back. The Vills do need to go right back forward, though. It's a pretty even army. The monks could be an absolute difference maker. Ballistics is not quite in yet, and that's just a lot of damage saved. And I have reasonable confidence that this is going to be going well for Capoch.
Wow, what a game, man. He's playing so good. MbL taps out, calls the GG.
Wow.
We have a 1-1. Capoch needs the next win as well to survive. He certainly played well enough here to show us he could do it. MbL obviously still safe and all that, but the push for first place gets a little bit more difficult. What a game from Capoch.
And I mean, that is a game that is entirely one, it feels like, by multitasking, because that early game was not good for him, but he had that presence of mind to look at all the map in terms of all 4 pawns, plus at MbL's base, plus defending at his home base.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's basically 6 different locations.
I would say 90% of high-level players play this map. They worry about 2 pawns and the middle. I think that's reasonable. Occasionally, they add the 3rd pawn. When Capoch plays this map, every single pawn sees some type of action, and also the middle. And that's just the difference. The only other player that I can think of in Platinum League that has played this aggressively onto the pawns on cross is probably Sito. So maybe eventually we could organize like a Sito versus Capoch cross or 4 Lakes show match, because both of them are just absolutely insane. But truly how the map was designed, I think even the scouting from MbL wasn't designed around really finding the ponds, was it? He never made a play, even with the outpost in the north, to even try and kill the fish. It felt like a big opportunity for him. And, of course, it's understandable when there's a lot of other things going on, but Capoch was able to manage it.
Yeah, and of course, so we're saying he needs to be doing this. It is absolutely crunch time for him, making it work. And then I think it's Kilimanjaro, right, is the last map. So that could be another banger between these two.
Yeah, so Kilimanjaro, real quick, though, I want to look at the odds in between games. So live standings, MbL's percentages, and Capoch's percentages. MbL's highest odds is second place. After that, we'll see what happens after this game. Capoch holding on to hope. He's now got a 6% chance at survival. So
you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance for Capoch, but also there's pride. There's $40 per win. So there's certainly more to fight for. But here we are, game 3. So MbL wins this. He's tied for first place. MbL loses this, still in a great position for the playoffs, but it will be harder for him to get that #1 spot. Capoch loses this. I think he is 100% out and relegated regardless. Capoch wins this, and his percentages go from like 6% to, I don't know, like 10, 12, 14. We'll find out if it happens, but we've got the Khmer against the Portuguese on Kilimanjaro here.
Indeed, we do. In Kilimanjaro, it feels like a map we saw a ton early on, and then people just kind of stopped picking it.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting. I like it more than a lot of the maps in this pool, to be honest. And I feel like, it's just a lot of multitasking all over the place again. It's just you're so spread out.
We've definitely had phases, though, of maps. Like Shoals, we saw a lot, I think, the first 2 weeks. It was like Shoals every set, and then some players didn't like it anymore. We had Kilimanjaro a lot early, and then that stopped, and now we've seen a lot of Rocky Forest.
Yep.
I
don't know.
Yeah, but it's not a map that is easy to play, and there's a lot of variance in what can happen. Sometimes you are a little bit fortunate and maybe have a little bit more wood. Other times, usually your golds, your stones, and whatnot are hard to lock down. So I'm looking at the maps right now, and like MbL's golds could be a problem, for example. Wood, definitely a bigger problem for him. He definitely just doesn't have as much wood next to his base, and feels like Capoch maybe got an extra chunk of trees next to his TC.
Yeah, it looks like the pond that contains the shorefish was overlapping with a forest spawn.
Could
you see
be
that there at MbL's base, and it feels like he has like no wood at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to have to move towards the middle faster here. 100%. It's 150 wood per tree. But my worry for MbL would just be, like, Capoch tends to wall up a lot. So if MbL feels like he has to do the same, you're going to have to move out of here sooner rather than later compared to Capoch. We made some changes to the map to try and change if players spawn a little bit more towards the corner than others, because it allows the wall possibility. Very tricky. Very, very tricky.
Yeah, I was wondering if you would even consider this an adminry if they're not spawning with what they're supposed to, but they're Rex, so clearly this can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if players came to an admin in this situation and said, yo, I don't have enough wood, then obviously a decision's made, and I'd be happy with that. But we're here, and to my knowledge, nothing was said to an admin, and this is how it goes, So, per the rules, it's not an adminry, not even close, because all the resources are there. But I think there has to be like a reasonable aspect to each decision. And if MbL would have said something and been like, "Yo, I think I don't have a lot of wood here," we absolutely would probably replay it. So,
yeah, it's just one of the many fun things that comes with administering a tournament.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun, but yeah, I mean, Capoch, it feels like a combo of MbL getting a little bit less wood than normal, and then Capoch getting way more wood than I've seen. So it's a mix of both for whatever reason. I don't know how that exactly works.
At the very least, the forage bushes are quite far forward, but Chimera are definitely a civ that if you just really want to hunker down and wall yourself in early on, you can just leverage a huge eco advantage. And I guess talking about the civs here, these really feel like just two of the very best civs in the game on almost every setting.
Yeah, Portuguese are really flexible because of the wood they get from the berries. Cheap gold units. Usually Portuguese thrive if they're able to play into a double gold comp. So if they can go like crossbow knight can be strong. I think Khmer actually feel more natural for me on this map than others. Because I don't know how many times I've seen someone be safe enough to go double gold comp on this map. It feels like you usually just you're picking that one unit and sticking with it because you don't have the time to make a lot of transitions and think about it.
Yeah, and it feels like this is an opportunity where you, one, tend to make a lot of food units, as in cavalry. So Chimera always can be very happy doing that. And also it's also like you have that little bit of a focus in the middle of the map thanks to the resources and the elevation. And the Scorpions are going to be really good at taking control of that.
Yeah, Khmer, I think Tatars is really good on this map with the hills and with the extra sheep you can get on a map with limited resources. I don't know if either player's opted for that with the draft. MbL's in Feudal, doesn't have the wood for the stable yet after the fast up time in the double lumber camp. And then Capoch doesn't have to build a barracks at all and can just open with the stable. And there he goes.
Yeah, it always feels so good as Chimera to just be able to go double lumber camp, fast uptime, fast stable, all good. You have the houses you can jump into before you're fully walled, although you certainly do need to get fully walled sooner rather than later. And the one concern I have for him right now, though, are these spearmen. And of course, just scout plus spearmen is usually better than pure scout.
Yeah. And I think, so last time MbL played this map, he had a better map than he has right now, and he didn't actually full wall. And it was against ACCM, who I think was Khmer or Tatars. And ACCM went for the full walls. So MbL should have a little bit more pressure on himself now. Remember, the acacia trees have 150 wood. That'll still last a while, but there's definitely a thinking of, we can't stay here for very long. So he's got to be piling on the pressure, and Capoch, small walls on everything so far. Woodline is exposed, but hasn't lost a villager yet.
And you have that house to help you out. And this is sort of, when people ask me how to play Chimera, I usually say, okay, open scouts and either be full walled super fast or get a second archer or get an archery range, your second building down really fast. Yeah. And Capoch opting for that approach, and that's going to help him a lot in terms of dealing with the spearmen, and it's going to start to develop his better long-term feudal age army composition of scouts plus archers.
The thing is, he isn't on gold though, so he can't really go archers. He just made the one. I guess he'll go to the gold now.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, P90?
Well, he's
Are you doubting me?
But, and then Capoch, the scout gets through, and Capoch quick walls it in and out of the houses to save the villagers, and MbL is going to lose the scouts. I think so. Was the Vill taking damage there?
I thought that was the house. No, you're right.
How wasn't MbL's scout attacking the other direction?
Sometimes the fewer questions asked, the better.
Remind me, we can look at that later, because we obviously are synced up on a wreck. That looked to me like the scout was attacking with its tail or something weird. But anyways, Capoch ejects his ranged units.
It's super effective.
The great tail micro. Capoch backing away with the archers and the skirms now, and wasn't able to do any damage to MbL. So MbL... full pressure, 400 more resources collected. Capoch just able to stay alive so far.
And that feels like a bit of a win already here for Chimera. I say that, but he's actually behind in resources compared to MbL, and that is just the advantage of having all of the fighting happening at Capoch's base. The Portuguese with an eco advantage in this matchup are going to be feeling really good.
Agreed. And this is a lot of army from MbL. And I don't think a full wall is very realistic for Capoch either. Yes, you can hop in and out of those houses, but you need to win some fights here soon. The gold is exposed. The wood is exposed. But he's being patient here, isn't he? Still massing more scouts. Mixing in his own archers. MbL double range back at home, so he's going to send it here.
Absolutely, and why not? You see the exposed resources of your opponent, and the fact that Capoch just isn't going to be getting himself full walled feels like it's just going to be a very real issue, because you have the Spearman to help you out right now, and if they're both just continuously making army, MbL should eventually be able to take some very good fights.
Main thing for MbL is he needs to get those upgrades right now. He's trying to recover with the numbers, but he really needs to get the upgrades. Fletching is already on the way for Capoch. Crazy from Capoch. He defended very nicely, very confidently, and now he just marches forward. He said, whatever. I mean, you might have the position, but I'm ready now. MbL will have to do the same, but he'll have the defender's advantage. So if Capoch sees the ranges, Capoch might just turn around and head right back to the top of the hill.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting decision as well, because MbL had plenty of time to fully wall himself, but he chose not to, and even built his buildings kind of forward-ish.
Yeah. Well, Capoch thinks he's walled, so that's all that matters. Capoch assumes that this is the full wall when it's not. And MbL is bringing archers back behind this. This is great from both players, man. The level's so high. Like, MbL will be fine. He's baiting Capoch to run in here. I'm sure he will be completely fine. And he's waiting with those scouts to pick off any new archers that may come forward from Capoch.
Yeah, but Capoch seems to be getting a whiff of what's going on, is going to start to retreat, going to wait for a couple of reinforcements. Forging is 30-ish seconds, a little less from coming in. And right now, still feels like everything is slightly better for MbL economically, militarily, and he's defended. Yeah,
I mean, we do got to talk about the situation with the trees. There's a large group in the right corner, but he has not scouted that. So if this is an extended feudal age, MbL's starting to run low. And there's a lot of other focus for him right now, so hard to think about just scouting for that. He may opt to go to the middle, but that's where a lot of the fighting is happening. And look at the upgrades. Man, can these two...
Yeah.
I wish more games were like MbL Capoch. Just the amount of army we see is so outlandish.
It's refreshing.
Compared to... Yeah, and refreshing compared to other sets.
It's like, wait... People actually make army and attack with it instead of just sitting at your base.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think they both have so much respect for each other that they know that playing defensive is not an option. And the gloves are off when these two play. Look at these armies meeting in the middle, but Capoch's army is stronger. Capoch has bloodlines, he is forging, he has armor, and MbL just got bloodlines. MbL still has more archers, though.
Yeah,
and it's a really close fight.
Issue is that he has more archers, right? The scouts had the upgrades, which is nice, but the archers are the ones that are all attacking at the same time. They're all dealing damage, and of course, that is a reflection of the double archery range. And now, 50% more army for MbL.
Wow. Yeah, and now MbL does have bloodlines. He does have that scout buffer. A lot of those archers are weak, and scouts should start to get dominant here. But it's just that if MbL can stay at a minimum of 12 or so archers, if he can keep this group alive, things could be good. Look at Capoch, though. Again, this is the second time where he should be taking damage, and he just goes forward. Yeah, he just doesn't care.
And MbL has to respect it, right? Because MbL is not totally safe at home. I mean, he's going to try and maybe rush up some defenses now, but MbL has to send his army right back home. And even though he had a nice army lead, was in a decent position to take a fight, we're looking at Capoch picking up Wheelbarrow, having Khmer farms, and just dragging things out. And there is a chance he might get a better Castle Age time.
Oh, man. Capoch got through.
Oh, no.
Is he trapped? Is he actually trapped here? Oh, man. What a quick wall from MbL. That's still a good engagement.
T90. Why would you ever suggest that he would be trapped there?
That's also tilting if you're MbL, because you think that whole army should be dead. But great job. And, oh, man, Capoch is coming forward again. Man, like, MbL's got 30 army. But he's just chasing everything Capoch is sending his way right now. Capoch is completely untouched. Capoch is going to pick these villagers apart. I think MbL's got to go forward with those archers right now. He's got to do anything but chase with these archers.
Yeah, I mean, this is a way to guarantee that your archers are useless, because they're not able to catch up to the scouts, and if they're not applying pressure, they're not doing anything there either. Yeah. Now, the uptimes are basically the same between the two players, so good macro on the part of both. But, I mean, Capoch recognizing just how exposed MbL is, and it just feels like the more time he buys, the better.
Yeah, and it just... Remember when the res collected was ahead for MbL? Well, it's not anymore. It's ahead for Capoch. Capoch is one of the best farming civs in the game. Stonewalling it home. So he knows that those archers could eventually become crossbowmen. And that's really the key right now.
Bulgarians or Spanish, so I feel like he should know that.
Thank you, Orlu. Thank you for that. This is true. Yeah, I mean, Capoch's gold is the main problem against crossbows, and he already has that towered. And he's got triple stable scout production. He'll have 20 scouts when he makes it to Castle Age. Just crazy.
And it's just the advantage that mobility has in an open map like this. He's walled, his opponent isn't, and MbL's just going to have such a hard time moving forward, even though MbL's army is just vastly superior in a straight-up fight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think there was an opportunity for MbL before, but now he moves forward, and it's going to feel like he can't do anything because of these defenses from Capoch. He has a stone wall or a house or a high HP building in every single vulnerable area. And MbL marches forward with this army, and he's just knocking on the door. Like, what am I supposed to hit here against this guy? And Capoch is getting light cav. Capoch saw the lumber camp. If he moves over there, I really think MbL needs to TC right away. But if he moves over there, that would be the spot to raid.
And what I love from Capoch is that he's developed his late feudal age army so heavily towards the scouts. You're not really focusing on the ranged units, which you do worse than the Portuguese. You're getting a lot of food units that you benefit from with the farming, and you can just add in those scorpions as your anti-pikeman and anti-crossbowman unit. So it's sort of good. It feels like mid-game army development.
Don't you love this, though? Oh, man, no, the light cav are coming in. They forgot about them. They were sitting in the corner, and MbL thought he had them all tracked. He had a group of pikemen chasing the other group, and the light cap from the corner that were just kind of on stand ground for a minute get through. Meanwhile, MbL's through, but MbL needs damage. Right now, beautiful play from Capoch.
And this is Capoch being close to the edge of the map as well. I'd love to see some houses rush up at like the far northwest of his base, but obviously there's so much that's happening right now. The pikemen are trying to get some good damage in.
I'm laughing because both players are kind of screwed right now. Like, that's obviously awful for MbL, but... Well, hold on. I didn't realize Capoch had a mangonel. If Capoch lands a shot here, this could be horrible for MbL. He's defending his base. He's killed a lot. He's taken Capoch off of gold, but he's trapped right now.
Yeah, it's causing idle time, but there is just no way out. Too many high HP buildings to try and shoot your way out with the crossbowmen. And unless he has outstanding micro here, those crossbowmen are going to go down. You can at least try and maybe work towards the west, but that's where the houses are coming in.
Repairs there from Capoch. The micro's good from MbL. He still has pikemen here. Capoch has no wood right now. He's got everything on gold. He's got 4 on food, but he's got so much army. MbL, micro like a maniac. Capoch is actually out of wood to repair his mangonel.
He's out of resources, T90. All of this eco is so idle. I mean, the crossbowmen are going to die, but...
He can't repair!
Capoch's queue is empty.
He can't repair it! MbL's micro's insane here. He's taking the Vils. The Vil count will actually be even after this, and finally, Capoch clears it up. But let's think about the situation now. Like, you got 6 light cav, 6 knights. All your farms were idled. Your gold miners were idled. Your other villagers are all exposed along the front. MbL's on 2 TCs. If MbL just... is able to relax here for a moment, defend with pikes, I think he's actually in the better position. Am I wrong?
I think you are right, in fact.
I mean, it's close. I don't know. I don't know if better is the right word. But
well, what I noticed is during that fight that, you know, yes, the wood count was basically minimal for Capoch, so he couldn't really repair, but his queue was completely empty.
Yeah,
like, he was not making anything because everything was idled, and he was just completely focused on the micro right there, whereas MbL was able to sort of keep things going, get that second TC rolling, and now he's making that switch into Cav Archers because, you know, that's apparently what you always do. I
think it's a big problem for MbL that it's knights against him right now. It's the same situation as the previous game. Capoch loves this situation. Knights, mobility, and open areas to raid. MbL also doesn't have the recognition of how exposed Capoch's gold miners are right now. Maybe he'll see the mining camp, but that's the area. If MbL could get some knights into that gold, that could be a big problem for Capoch. More raids from Capoch through the middle and with the light cav. 3 villager lead for him, but his eco's looking a lot better than it was with 14 knights now.
That is a lot. Notably, though, the Knights are well upgraded. They already have everything except Iron Casting, whereas, you're going to be a lot slower in making this Cav Archer switch. I mean, your upgrades are okay, but you don't have Ballistics, you don't have Thumb Ring, and just as important, the numbers on the CA are so low right now.
Yeah, but there's 5 more in queue, and MbL's got the 8 pikes. The pikes get some good engagements. Usually, this comes down to who gets that TC in the middle. And we normally talk about that a lot earlier. We haven't talked about it yet, but it's building up towards that. Another good engagement for MbL in the middle against the Knights. But he's got quick walling to do on his golds. The Capoch just will not stop raiding him, but MbL's holding there for now.
I mean, his pikeman usage has been great. They're just always there, right on top of the Knights. Every time the Knights are trying to retreat, he's just pursuing with his units, making sure that he's always trying to get some damage in and just having a couple
Wow,
Knights
MbL down!
Gonna be another one, I think.
Yeah, crazy. This would be the opportunity for MbL to TC the middle now. If you really think that's valuable, you got to TC the middle. I'm still concerned. He just lost all of his pikemen, and he doesn't have a lot of active farmers because of the garrisons at home. So that's 13 idle vills. Capoch has not had the idle time that MbL has had.
By my count, there's like 20 villagers that are working for like a minute there for MbL.
Yeah.
That is very bad. And you can just see that the res advantage is just ballooning in favor of Capoch, who's continuing to just send units across the map. He's just not stopping.
I'm surprised we're not seeing Scorpions. I liked the Mangonel before, but at this point when you're Chimera, I think adding in some Scorpions with the Knights feels like the more logical move. MbL, I'd like to see some monks here. A couple monks to heal up. Get conversions could be really helpful. Can be problematic against the siege. But, oh, man. This is just so tough. The Knights keep coming. House walls and even tower now for MbL.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a tough position for him, right? Because he has to keep expanding towards his opponent.
Yeah.
And that's going to just favor the Knights who can just run around everywhere so much. And now with the Mangonel coming forward, finally getting a Bowsaw in. He's had Wheelbarrow for a long time as Capoch. So, I mean, just going to have a far more streamlined eco, getting the second TC down, and this is looking great for him.
Yeah, can you counterattack with Cav Archers here? I don't know. It was the same issue in some other games I've seen recently. If you're not controlling... It's all about controlling the middle of the map, but you're not necessarily able to easily counter. Maybe he'll do it, though. Nice snipe again from MbL. That's 3 Mangonels that he's killed. The siege has done basically nothing for Capoch.
Yeah, and it's just been great unit movement and awareness from MbL. The Knights are continuing to come in and deny those farmers. They're just not able to work. And MbL, to his credit, found sort of the one area of Capoch's base that is a little bit open to attack. So forced away a bit there, although I don't love him completely diving in.
Well, he thought he needed the counter, and he's wondering where those villagers are because he knew they were there before. He actually just can't find them. They're on the TC on the right. And so Capoch's Knights kind of have free reign to raid for the moment.
Well, those vills are at least used to not working, so
yeah,
maybe that'll be a bit of comfort to them because they've been stuck in the TC all game.
Yeah, I mean, idle time's been insane for both. Over an hour soon for Capoch. Is over an hour for MbL. MbL 2 TCs. Capoch about to go for 3. Over to the left side. But notice that's not in the middle. Where that hill is, where the stone and where the gold is. Where players are normally making their move. What a game, dude. What a game. What a great hold from MbL, honestly. I kept expecting the raids to break him here. And he'll be on 3 TCs. He's denying the TC on the left side here. I don't know if he should go too far.
It's a lot of siege units.
But he always seems to have an answer with Cav Archers or Pikemen for what Capoch sends.
Yeah, I mean, the Vill count is at least semi-comparable, even if the resources are heavily favoring Capoch. MbL's getting his own 3rd TC down, and he still isn't at the top of the hill, right?
Can we...
And I think the one thing he wanted is to get there.
Real quick, so look at Capoch's Fog of War. Look at that scouting, okay? Look at MbL's scouting. So, like, MbL doesn't know of any of the options he has to the left, and I think the biggest thing in this game has been the corner. Like, that is 8,000 wood. There's stone there. That's all for the taking. He doesn't know about that. I can't help but feel like if he knew about that, maybe things would have gone a little bit better for him. But what a hold. Anyways.
T90, you've been casting MbL a very long time. His scouting looks like this every single game. You have his base, a little bit of area around it, his opponent's base and a little area around it, and then the area in between, and that's it.
Until when the first outpost comes up with MbL, all the outposts come up. It goes from 0 to 50. And man, I mean, 110 pop for both MbL.
Oh,
yikes! What a game.
Ooh.
This is finally a massive army. It almost feels like Capoch forgot he had a couple siege units around and took him some time to gather it up. This is terrifying now. How is MbL supposed to engage against the Scorpions, the Mangonels, and the +2 Knights?
He's even trying to add a 4th TC and even push along the northeastern edge of the map, but Capoch, thanks to the better eco, and it's just continuing to get better as he's continuing to have more vills working longer. And those siege units are just such a huge problem. There are 4 knights, but they need to be in a great spot to be able to snipe those.
Ballistics as well. He prioritizes ballistics, so that's a huge upgrade. And another group from Capoch. 30 knights. 30. You never see that. Dude, no one's making knights these days. It's like cav archers, it's camels, it's monks, you know. But gotta love it from Capoch. He's also pretty heavy on stone. MbL's pikemen have to move away. I think MbL missing the knights that broke in underneath his starting TC. He's getting raided there. He's 20 vills down now, and he needs a main fight to work for him. And he can't engage.
So far behind in army value, though. I mean, 5.8k to 3.4k, and that is just going to be so tough for him. The cav archers want to be all clumped up. The knights don't need to be.
Oh, the Mangonel got sniped as well. I didn't see it myself, but that Mangonel hopped out.
Yeah.
It didn't get the kill. MbL loops around from the other side with the Knights onto the Scorpions and the Mangonel, though. He knows the Mangonel is weak. This would actually be crazy if MbL could turn this around. His wood line is getting massacred by Capoch's Knights. He's lost track of because of more Knights from Capoch under the gold. And Capoch, a 30 villager lead now after everything.
Yeah, that's could be one of those winning the battle and losing the war moments, because Capoch, I do think it's a mistake for him to not have any monks as a part of this army, because the siege is just, it's so hard to keep alive against knights. But on the other hand, just being so active with his knights, it could be winning him 2 games in a row here as the castle's coming in as well. Oh my goodness.
I mean, everyone who's faced up against a player annoying you with night raids while you've had cav archers and pikemen, and you can just never seem to put a stop to it, type a 1 in the chats, right? Because we've all been there. Capoch has just been picking him apart, all these different areas. Look, there's still groups, like, just in different areas. The army's supposed to be good for MbL against this, but he can never raid. He can never be in the right positions. I think Capoch should take this game if he can get back up to 6 to 8 Scorpions. Because the cav archers for MbL, they have no answer to that.
Yeah, he's on 2 siege workshops. I have faith in Capoch to be able to do that. I also love the fact that he's just taken the time to just add 2 more TCs to the west of the map, keep the villagers safe from a few cav archers or knights, and just make sure that you can continue this sort of head-on, apply directly to the forehead style, where you're just constantly giving MbL grief.
Those are crazy TC spots. Those are on wood and gold, by the way. So that's not just random TC spots. Those are, you know, calculated to a degree. And MbL, he knows he can't pressure the right. He wants to pressure the left now. And everywhere he goes, there will be a TC. It was the same problem for MbL earlier. Capoch had a TC perfectly positioned in the northern corner on the wood and the gold. This is well played from Capoch. I mean, Ornlu, I said it. He played amazing so far in TTL. He probably could have gotten wins on Tato and ACCM that he just missed out on. And he's dangerous, dude. I mean, this will keep him in it. If he can close this game out, this keeps him alive in the group.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a very, low probability, but I mean, this is just sort of the level we expect. I mean, on paper, MbL looked like a huge favorite in this set, but I think anyone who knows these 2 players in their history knows better than to think that it's going to be super heavily favored one way or the other. 43 cav archers for MbL, and he looks relatively dead. This is just crazy.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of vills for the taking here, though. If he can win this fight, he can use his knights to snipe the Scorpions. Maybe the cav archers can kill the knights. If the knights are out of the picture, then the vills are out of the picture. The castle could be denied. I don't know if it's enough. There's so much
In a
army.
world where ballistics didn't affect Scorpions, I think maybe they miss enough shots
Yes.
where
Yes.
that wouldn't be a thing, but that isn't the world we live in anymore. So
Yeah.
Scorpions able to get a lot of value. Their 8 range is just so insane for Khmer. More Capoch is just going to get obliterated. And GG, well played.
Wow. What a game from Capoch. Yeah, I agree. I think ballistics was a good call. The research here for Capoch, in combination with the 8 range from the Khmer Scorpions, MbL just could not do as much damage. What a series. So Capoch still alive. The final week for Capoch will be very interesting. I think he's under a lot of pressure. We'll look at that in a second. MbL obviously would have wanted more victories here today, but there's no danger for MbL. It's not like he's going to be relegated or anything, but odds for him to get first just went down a little bit, and odds for playoffs are not necessarily locked. But that was a competitive series, man. All those games were so fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, after the first 2 series, which were pretty darn one-sided, it was so great to see just such a compelling series of AoE2 with players just attacking, right? Like, that's really, I think, the biggest takeaway from this series is that attacking can work in high-level AoE2.
Yep, they're just... It's funny, too, because you think MbL's kind of defensive in some ways, but in actuality... I think that's an overgeneralization about his play. He's generally defensive on the back of lots of military, and Capoch has always been one to be aggressive there. So well played. So let's pull it up and see what this means for them. This is the fun point. We're not fully finished with the 4th round yet, but for these two we are, and this is where the probabilities are fun to look at. Capoch, 4 wins. He has a 12% chance or 13% chance at surviving now, including that 2% chance at getting playoffs, which I think would mean he would have to... Does that mean he has to sweep Vinch?
Yeah.
Ah. And if he doesn't sweep Vinch, what is he out? Let's see.
Yeah, he needed this. I remember checking. He needed to sweep 1 series and win at least 2 games in the other.
Okay.
And he didn't sweep this series, so he'd have to sweep Vinch.
Okay, well, that's going to be tough. But he beat MbL 2-1, and I think you can make arguments he could have won the first game if MbL wasn't so god tier with his Mangonel micro, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see as far as that's concerned. Live standings, though, after 4 rounds in this group, we've got Tato and ACCM tied for first. They actually play each other. MbL is at 7 wins, Vinchester at 6, Capoch at 5, Dogao at 3. MbL will play Dogao. That's good for MbL, actually, because Dogao might not feel like he has as much to fight for. And it's somewhat low pressure for MbL because he's safe. But I guess there is some pressure that if he doesn't get wins, he won't go playoffs. So.
And someone like MbL, you expect him to make the playoffs, and I'm sure he himself expects to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
even though he is in the group with Tato, ACCM, and Vinchester.
And sorry, Capoch is at 4. I misspoke there. I had this toggled on screen. So, yeah, I think my prediction in this group was that Capoch and Dogao would go down. Part of that knowledge was with knowing that Dogao would be traveling the first 2 weeks. So I thought he would perform a little weaker there, which I think he did. But if I had to predict it right now, I think MbL beats Dogao, secures the playoffs, and then I think that makes Tato ACCM fairly simple, and the winner of that one maybe goes 2-1 either way. And that solidified the winner there goes first, and then second place maybe goes second, you know?
And that means, is there a world where Vinch 3-0s? Yeah, there's a world where Vinch can 3-0 Capoch and still not make playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, because if Vinch 3-0s, let's do it real quick. If Vinch 3-0s, he cannot tie... Well, no, actually, Vinch just straight up can't get first regardless. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely can't get first, but... I mean, there's a chance that he doesn't even make playoffs with...
Oh, that was your point. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, true. 3-0ing and still not making playoffs.
There's a chance he couldn't make playoffs.
Wow. That's pretty wild. Yeah, that's true. Well, I would say right now, just based on my gut, I don't think Capoch or Vinchester 3-0s in that series. I think that's like a 2-1 either way, which should be good for MbL and ACCM and Tato. But I guess we'll see. So I should mention this since we only have the 3 rounds left on this. I don't know if anything's confirmed yet, but we're doing our best. We're going to try and finish the groups on one day. So hopefully if we can manage that and we'll keep the whole community updated, hopefully we'll be able to do that, which means we could do something like Capoch versus Vinchester, followed by Dogal versus MbL, and then the final series of the day would be Tato ACCM, which most likely then would be, winner ends up getting first place in the group. So that's how we're going to try and structure it. It may not be possible, and if it's not possible, then we'll just keep doing it as we have done it, but we'll be doing our best.